I'm in the middle of creating a movie collection system. In this system, I can store the title, ID, and length of up to 100 movies in my collection. In memory, what I've created is a collection of movies which has a size and a number of movies. 100 movies in the system, but only a certain number of them are used. So at the moment, in this picture, there are 2 movies in this collection, and the other 98 are not used. In terms of our code, what I have is a struct to represent the movie data. So each element in the array is a movie data value. I have a collection of a struct, which is my collection or a movie collection, where each movie collection has a size and a number of movies. We have functions and procedures to work with individual movies, and we've created an add movie function or add movie procedure to add a movie into a collection. I've tidied up main a little bit so that what I'm doing now is I'm reading in a movie and adding it to the collection. I'm reading in another movie and adding it to the collection. This way, we'll have 2 movies in our collection. At the moment, I'm just printing out the first movie. So what I want to do now is print out all of the movies. I've created the start of a procedure to do that. So I've created print movies. Now, if I'm thinking that I am print movies, if you ask me to print the movies out, what do I need to be told? I'll need you to tell me the collection that we're going to use in order to print out the movies. So here, this will be our parameter, passed by reference, constant reference, as I'm not changing it. And so we've got our movies coming in here. And we can print out some headers and some footers underneath our movies. Now we've got the code down here to print out a single movie, so we can put that up here to start with. The variable name is different. So here I can say I can print a single movie by using collections, which is my data that I've been told, and I can access any individual element and print it out. But if I want to print out all of the elements, then we've got to think about how do I do that. Now this is where you've got to remember, if you need to do something with all elements of an array, you've got to think about how you can do it for each element of the array. How do I do this for each element so that I can repeat that code a number of times equal to the number of elements in the array? So in this case, I know I can print each movie out by using print movie, and that will then use the procedure we wrote earlier to print that movie out. I just have to pass in the right movie. So here I've passed in the movie at index 0. I could repeat that. If I change it to index 1, I could all print out this movie. And when I change it to index 2, it would print out this movie. So it could print out movie 0, movie 1, in this case because there's only 2 movies in the collection. All right, the way we do this then, to convert this idea from doing something for all into each, is to use the for loop. So for, and remember, you want to do something for all of the elements. So you do it for each of the elements. So it's a for loop, right? And we create a variable I to represent our index. So in here now, instead of accessing always the same element, the element 0, I use the variable I. So I will change each time this goes through the loop, and we want it to start at value 0. So this for loop is now going to loop I across a range of values for me. I want it to loop while I is less than, now what do we want? We want it to be less than the size of the collection. All right, so again, we have to go to the collection to get the size. So while I is less than the size of the collection, we would run through this loop. And at the end of the loop, we would want to increment I by 1. So this way, when we come into the loop, if I just execute this very quickly here, outside of the collection, I'd have a variable I, and the variable I would have a value. It will start at 0, and when we run through the array, then, or we run through the code, is I less than the size of the collection? Yes, 0 is less than 2, and so it runs the body of the loop. We then print, we call print movie, and we pass across an individual movie. Which movie? I go to the collection, I get the movies, and I get the value at index 0. So index 0, 0 is this one here, so it will print this movie out. At the end of the loop then, it will come back up here, it will access I, and so I will become 1. And we check again, is 1 less than collection size? Collection size is 2, 1 is less than 2. So we come back in, we print the next movie. So this will come in, now it will access collection, movies, and the value of I is 1, so it will access this movie here, and we'll print out that movie, or that movie will be passed to the print movie procedure. And so we'll get those two printing out. When we get to the end of the loop again, we come back and we increment the value of I, so that goes to 2. Is 2 less than 2? No, 2 is not less than 2. Therefore, the loop will stop and we'll print out the end. And so notice how we were able to do this for each element of the array. So we knew that we wanted only to do this for the first 2 elements because at the moment there are 2 movies in the system. So we printed it out, each element out, starting at element 0, while I was less than the number of elements, print out each element one at a time. Okay, so now down in main, instead of doing print movie, I can now do my print movies. Now print movies doesn't take an individual movie, it takes a collection of movies. So I have to pass it the collection of movies. If I save that, come down here, compile, and run, I can now enter my 2 movies. So we're going to have movie 1, ET, put in its length, movie, what did I say, 27, IT, and 1.5, enter. Okay, and so now we can see the movies printing out. It looped through each of the movies. This is the movie with index 0, this is the movie with index 1, and that matches up with what we're seeing in memory over here. So picturing this in your mind when you're thinking about the code is really important because it will help you understand how all of these different bits are working together. All right, so now I've got print movies working. I want you to have a go at doing the same thing. Have a go at printing out the data that you've collected in your collection. And in the next video, we'll have a look at how we can find and update an individual element.